Hey folks, welcome back to the channel, SenileSarge. Today we're going to talk a little bit about Game of Thrones Kingsroad. I thought it'd be a great opportunity just to kind of talk. We don't have a script here, but really to talk about the game and kind of why I think you should give the game a try when it comes out here on May 21st for both PC and mobile devices. There's going to be some gameplay in the background. They're going to be kind of playing. It's really there for your enjoyment so you can kind of see what the game looks like. It may interest you or not, but I figured that we'd at least do that versus just having a black screen. If you're here, you probably already know what the game is or you've thought about it, but just in case you don't know what the game is, let me tell you what Game of Thrones Kingsroad is. It's an action-packed role-playing game. It's set in a richly detailed universe of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire, which is basically the Game of Thrones lore. It's developed by Netmarble Neo. The game unfolds during the War of the Five Kings and follows an original storyline centered around House Tyre. They're a minor northern house, for those that don't know. You're going to assume the role of a house's illegitimate heir. There's 3 characters you can choose from. Doesn't matter which character you choose, you're still going to be in that role. So if you played character 1 through and then you decide to choose another character, you would play through that same kind of opening sequence. And I think that's important for you to know. You are going to be navigating a world torn by political conflict. You can feel it as you play through the game. There's ancient threats all throughout the land. You've got, shifting alliances. It's just a really well done kind of like story. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that. There is a little bit of a real-time combat inside of the game. You've got open world exploration, and there's some types of cooperative multiplayer. We're going to talk about what I've done and not done, but for some this may be kind of a turnoff, but for me it's perfectly fine. It does offer a fresh and immersive take on the Game of Thrones saga. I like what they've tried to do with the game here, and I think that for some, if you really like story-driven games, I think you will as well. Best part though, it's set in iconic Westeros locations. Like, you'll feel like you're kind of immersed and you are the one that's going through the story, which is awesome. Now that we discussed that, let me just talk about the 5 reasons that I think that you should try. For some of you that watch this, you may be like, hey, these are reasons why I don't want to try it. And that's perfectly fine. Remember, these are just my opinions. At the end of the day, if it helps you make a decision either way, I think that's great. The other thing I'll say is this is early access. Gameplay you're going to see in the background and what I'm talking about right now, things could change as the game progresses. So if you're watching this in the future, congratulations, you made it into the future. But more importantly, just know that the game may have changed. All right, so the first reason I think you should give the game a try is because it's going to be free to play. It's going to launch on May 21st, both PC and mobile devices. I don't think that's going to change. Looks like that date's going to remain. If you're watching this video prior to and you go to Steam, you're going to say, oh, hey, but there's a cost on Steam. Well, those are the founder packs. You can absolutely get one of those if you want. I don't think you necessarily need to. I'm recording this on the 14th, so I don't see a reason that you would need to. You only got a couple days to wait. It's going to be free for you to do that. Remember, though, it's free to play. Expect monetization. It's definitely in the game. The good point, though, is I would tell you this. Other than getting the founders pack so I could play the game, I have not spent real world money on anything, and I'm doing perfectly fine. A lot of the currencies that you're going to use in the store, a lot of those you're going to get through the game just playing the game, going through the story, doing all those type of things. You're going to get it, and then you can go in and you can purchase things. So I love how player activities can lead to most of the items that you're going to be using. We're not going to get too far into the store here. At the end of the day, if you like story driven games, you're going to be fine. Like, you're not going to really care about hitting meta and the end game stuff. You're going to be more in it for just kind of playing the game. The second reason I think you should give the game a try is because really the storyline and the lore of this game is actually really well done. I mean, for most games that I play, you want something that's immersive. Now, you got to know coming into this, I am a Game of Thrones fan. It's got a soft spot in my heart, is the best way to put it. So for me, I enjoy what they've done, and I also like change. So I like it when somebody tries something different. Some folks are going to look at it and be like, hey man, this game feels very mobile-y and some of that. Okay, maybe, but I play a lot of mobile games also. So for me, it's really like, what am I getting out of it? I love story-driven games, but I also don't like games that are very repetitive over and over again, or that the story just feels janky. This one doesn't. They insert the story when they need to help you get through it, and it feels good. There are some, minor bugs on stuff, so you'll be talking to an NPC as an example, and then like the voice line doesn't work or things like that. That happens every once in a while. I suspect that they're going to fix that over time, but I think just from a storyline perspective, I've actually been enjoying it. Like the map, you start at the north at the wall, and then you're slowly kind of going down the map, and as you go down the map, you open it, and further you get south, the more that they hate those from the north, and like you just feel the tension as you're playing the game. So I feel like they've done a good job thus far, and I hope that they continue to expand the story to make sure that it is as intertwined as it can be and that the lore expands. I suspect the next couple days they're going to be talking about what's coming with the release of the free-to-play version, which I think is an expansion of the world, and I'm looking forward to that. So for me, I enjoy the storyline, and I'm also enjoying the lore thus far that they've created. Okay, next we got to talk about the combat system. Some are going to like it, some are not going to like it. So we'll try to put some here in the background so that you can see what the combat looks like. I enjoy the way that the combat is in this game. It's not like super difficult. That's not really the reason I'm playing this game. Anyway, I'm playing this game because when I read, it was a story-based game with some action combat included. And that to me was interesting. If I wanted something that was really difficult to play and hard, you know, I'd go play like a Path of Exile or No Rest for the Wicked or something like this, where it's a much more difficult system and you have skills, and then those skills break into more skills. And then that's not really what this game is. You know, this game does have dodging, it has parrying, it has, you know, chaining attacks, and that you get to develop out your characters. There's 3 different character classes that are inside of them. Each one of them is a little bit distinct. You have a knight, a sellsword, and an assassin. Assassin's kind of your rogue, fast combat skills. Your sellsword is kind of like a big axe and, you know, just going around smashing things. And then you have your knight, which is kind of like your sword and board kind of feel. So each one of them has their varied play styles, and even how they kind of move through the game and how they fight through the game definitely has their variation. But for me, I enjoy the way that they've created it. It's not super difficult. It's not taking me a long time to pick it up. And as you go in, you do have the ability, you have skill trees and other things that you can put points in to decide, do I want my character to be offensive? Do I want it to be defensive? Do I want it to be support? So there is a little bit of expansion in the game, but it's not so much that it's like overwhelming. You can learn it pretty well just playing the game in general. So the next reason I think you should try this game is like the way that the world, the open world exploration works, I really like in this game. And there's a couple other games that have been like this of lately, like Enshrouded and some of the others from like the survival genre, because that's really normally where I focus the most of my attention to, is in the survival side. What's really interesting in this game is it looks big when you look at it on the map, but as you start to play, you're like, ah, man, this feels kind of like small. But then the further you get into the game, you realize that it's actually pretty big. And even with the fast travel and the places that you're going, and you may be going to similar places over and over again, like it feels good. Like, hey man, there's a fog over the top of an area, and then you go, you explore it, you open it up, and then there's different types of enemy and stuff in those areas. Now that's one of the things that I hope that they expand on, is the idea of what enemies are in what areas, also the depth of how many are in those areas, the type of animals that are in these areas. You know, a lot of this stuff I think that they can expand on, and they probably will. But for me, I enjoy the kind of open world feel. If they continue to expand this and they continue to make it bigger, which I hope that they do, and it looks like they're going to based off how the map looks, it should really end up to be a really, really good story. And the exploration part of this game right now feels really good to me. I usually have problems with is kind of like doing things over and over and over again. Like I've got to go to this place and do this exact same thing. There is a little bit of that. I mean, that's a normal thing. Anytime you're inside of a game like this, there's going to be a little bit of a grind. Now, understanding I'm a little over 20 hours, I'm not at end game right now. So there is a chance you get to end game and all you're doing is the exact same things over and over and over again. I usually have already left the game at that part. My point to you is it's free to play. You know you're going to probably get at least 20 hours in, and I'm only halfway through the leveling process at this point, and I've still not opened up everything. And I have started a bit of a grind where I get on, you know, early in the mornings and I'll go do a couple of the bosses, but then I'm out continuing moving through the story. I'm okay doing things like that. I think where I'm going to have a problem is when I end the story, like the world's explored, the story's complete, and now I have to continue. That's when I think there will be an issue. But I don't think that that's going to affect the majority of you that are listening to this, because if you enjoy the story-rich kind of the open world exploration, I think you're going to enjoy this. The final reason I think that you should try the game is it doesn't matter if you're playing solo or cooperative. It feels good both directions. Now, one thing I will say, and I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier, is that from a cooperative perspective, the only thing that I really focused on was going into dungeons and stuff. Now, there is a system in place where if you don't have friends from a solo perspective, you can start a dungeon, you'll go into a queue, matchmaking, and then at some point, that system is not very good right now. And part of the reason I feel it's that way is because I'm playing the Steam version. It was, you know, people have to pay to get in, and you know, there's not hundreds of thousands of people in the game, or even thousands. So when I'm going in to try, depending on what dungeon I'm trying to go into, there's not a lot there. There's not a lot of people in the queue. So some of those load times are taking, you know, 10, 15 minutes. But the good part, I say, from that 10 or 15 minutes, you can queue up and you can be out doing story missions. And then once it's ready, it gives you like a little thing will pop up on the thing like, hey, the dungeon's ready. And then you can hit the accept, and then you go into the dungeon. So it doesn't like just make you sit there and you're waiting for 10 or 15 minutes. You're out still doing the things you need to do from your normal perspective. From a solo perspective, you're going to be good to go. Cooperative, very fast, right? You get 4 people, you can hit it, and you can move directly into the dungeons. I think they're going to be making some changes with that and how that works and how many people are required to go into some of these. And I hope that they do, because there is, if you want to go into the very first boss, for example, if I'm level 30 and the person I'm with is lower level, I don't really need 4 people. You and that person could go in there, me as a 30, and you can go in there, and we can do that. So for cooperative, doing dungeons, some of the fights and things like that seems to be working well, and that's really the only way that I've used it. I have not tried it like in the open world landscape, and I don't know that it's meant to be like that either. I think it's meant to be these cooperative instance areas is really where you're teaming up with other people, not when you're roaming across, the world and fighting stuff. So I'm gonna see if I can't do a little bit more on that from a cooperative solo. But no, I've been playing solo, I would say 99%, and loving it, because again, it's that story based. And then when I need to go into a cooperative, if I don't have friends that are playing it, then I'm focused on just matchmaking and getting the things done. So thus far they've done a pretty good job. They do need to update some things. That's not what this video is for on that, but I hope they do. Well, I hope that this video at least gives you some things that I'm enjoying about the game. You get to watch the game in the background, see what the game is, and you get an understanding of why I've been enjoying playing it. Since I picked it up, I probably spend 30 minutes to an hour a day playing it. I don't have a lot of time to game through the days anyway. Weekends I have way more time, and I even streamed it, and the people that watch streaming it actually enjoyed it as well. So I think if you're interested in the game, try it. It's gonna be free to play. Worst case, you try it, you don't like it, you can get rid of it and then move on to the other game. As always, appreciate you guys so much for being here. For those that are members or subscribers also on Twitch, thank you guys so much. Each one of you gives me the ability to do this stuff and continue to do it. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Have a good one.